Oh shit, I'm sorry.
Я запрещаю запрещать меня!
Get on the dance floor. Get on the dance floor. Get on the dance floor. Get on the dance floor.
The High Court of the Victorious Alliance against Nijisanji is in session. This is a historic gathering of the victors of Hololive, Bishoujo, Face Connect, and all the independents and small corpus who struggled valiantly in the unprovoked all-out war EGN declared upon all the free VTuber world. During the occupation of Germany after World War II, the Allies had a classification system for their denazification program. The stages are as follows: Class A, major offenders; Class B, offenders; Class C, lesser offenders; Class D, followers, fellow travelers; Class E, exonerated persons. God damn it. Until Nijisanji is dissolved, a total denigification will be unlikely. But to expedite the processes, we can at least begin the consensus on who the innocent of Nijisanji are, and who are the guilty, and by what degree are they held responsible for. Gentlemen of the court, the proceedings have begun. Your Honor, my client pleads exonerate Scarlet. She is the only liver to not retweet Elira's statement. It has slightly hearted a comment of support against Nijisanji after her member stream was suddenly cancelled just now. Slyly, as the heart is now removed but not before it was noticed. That will be taken into consideration. I have a question about her complacency in previous black bowlings with respect to the livers Yugo Asuma and Zion Lanza, and her complacency in their removal, as well as the ostracization of one Nina Kosaka. The court recognizes Miss Scarlet Yonaguni as a likely candidate for a Class E exonerated person pardon. Her case will remain open for the time being if third parties wish to present evidence to the contrary. Your Honor, I propose to execute all of the offenders by 1,000 cuts. For Class D, E, I propose them to ask forgiveness by doing naked dogiza. Kurosanji classification tier list maker. How Kuro are the Kurosanji talents? Create a Kurosanji classification tier list. Check out other anime tier list templates and the most recent user submitted anime tier list. Exonerated persons, followers, fellow travelers, lesser offenders, offenders, major offenders, unknown. Oh, should I do this myself? Oh, maybe later, yeah. Your Honor, I submit to the court that this shit is funny as hell. Kina Dread. Your Honor, I propose the motion to not only exonerate Luka Kaneshiro but to formally recognize his valiant efforts. His so-called crimes consist of courting an older female individual, henceforth referred to as Hack, collaborating with said Hack to minimize his workload, and consulting with that Hack the proper course of action to rescue Scarlet Yonaguni from Aster Arcadia's harassment. Not only that, but the liquor allegations hold true. Then he has risked his livelihood in order to be as an asset and ally to the free VTuber world. Should he be present, I would call Luka Kaneshiro himself to perhaps testify in his favor. As a fellow brown man, I must bring to attention that while her inaction in such unfortunate events may be damning, these were only out of fear, and when the time came, her support was vital to expose Nijisanji's true color, black. Even at the risk of her well-being, I must move to the jury that at worst Scarlet shouldn't be considered a Class D felon. Your Honor, I submit to the court that this shit is funny as all hell. Noted, shit recognized as being funny as hell. Motion granted. Court recognizes possible Luka connection to leaks. Case will remain open for the time being. Interesting point of view. Traditional fears brown people have of taking responsibility of one's action opens Scarlet up to a fellow traveler charge. which is a sub-classification to the Class D charge. Not quite a follower, but kept her head down. The more I argued with them, the better I came to know their dialectic. First, they counted on the stupidity of their fans, and then, when there was no other way out, themselves played stupid. If all this didn't help, they pretended not to understand. Or if challenged, they changed the subject in a hurry, quoted platitudes which, if you accepted them, then immediately related to entirely different matters, and then, if again attacked, gave ground and pretended not to know exactly what you were talking about. But if you really struck one of these fellows, so telling a blow that, observed by the audience, they couldn't help but agree. And if you believed that, this had taken you at least one step forward. Your amazement was great the next day. They had not the slightest recollection of the day before. They rattled off their same old nonsense, as though nothing at all had happened. I didn't die so Kurosanji could be let off with a deep punishment for their sins. Take all your sympathy for Selen and your sadness from seeing the great injustices inflicted upon her and turn into anger. Total Niji death! Zig Zion! Zig Zion! Be me getting dragged out of the courtroom. Zig Zion forever! Your Honor, I believe that we should look at this from an outsider's perspective, but still keep an open mind. What happened to Selen was a tragedy. The fact that they couldn't give her the help she needs is sickening, and we should hold the ones who couldn't help her responsible at once. However, no one could have predicted the amount of chaos that unfolded that Miss Pandora is a major offender until proven otherwise. As for Miss Lovelock, despite the suspicion of her suddenly retweeting the announcement, her side of the story hasn't been revealed, so I would like to motion her as a follower until proven otherwise. Your Honor, I concur with this statement. Miss Lovelock did state she would be off social media for some time only for this tweet, and this tweet only to be reposted on her timeline no longer after. As many know, it's not above Nijisanji's management to impersonate members without their knowledge or approval. Unless further evidence is brought forward, I submit my plea to accept Miss Lovelock as Class D felon or even Class E felon. Vivi is innocent, Your Honor, I swear! What's this? I'm fucking fodder for cartoonists now? Your Honor, I propose a motion to not exonerate, but to move Ike Evelyn into the Class C or D, as provided within the stream upon Miss Elira Pandora's channel, henceforth referred to as Exhibit A, showed both a lack of interest and a general distaste for the event on tone, compared to Miss Elira Pandora and Mr. Vox Akuma, who both showed utter disregard to the defendant's mental well-being, even laughing at specific points with the evidence. I motioned that Ike Evelyn, who did not laugh and in fact audibly turned the page of his statement as evidenced in Exhibit A, to be moved toward Class C at worst and Class D at the best. Ike Evelyn, his defense motions, is a perfect example of good man, bad company. Petition for Kotaka Torahime to be charged as a major offender and to be placed under court-appointed observer. Prior bad acts indicate not only is she likely to be heavily involved, but is also not just capable but extremely willing to throw former co-workers under the nearest bus. Petition for Meleko to be placed under house arrest. Mine. Until the fact of her involvement are clear. Your Honor, I request for Miss Petra Gurin to be part of Class D. Her punishment will be overseen by myself to ensure the process of denichification. She has followed the precursors of the war and, while was not part of the conflict, had the capability of walking away. Therefore, a less severe punishment should take place, which I would be glad to oversee. Your Honor, I propose the classification of one of the defendants, one Elna Alouette, to be Class A major offender. The picture related is the defendant. I also propose the immediate execution of said defendant by the will of the court. This is amazing. I would submit that since Elira, Anna, and Mille are all mentioned in the documents created for litigation between Doki and Nijien, they be placed in Class A as they are likely among the orchestrators of the crimes against VTubers we have borne witness to over the last few days. Your Honor, I move to motion a Class E order for Victoria Brightshield on the basis of her career being held hostage in a turbulent situation. The first warnings headed by Zion's termination were unfortunately hearsay at the time the slivers of TTT were too late to reconsider at that point. Due to her time frame of debut, it is highly doubtful she could have had any involvement with the bullying of Selentatsuki. I require investigation if management held a gun to her head, thus unwillingly coerced agreement to the current allegations she is accused of. The guilt of Elira is beyond reproach. As we have the major offender defendant Elira in custody, the court is prepared to hear any argument to classify one Millie Parfait as a Class B offender. Anna Alouette, who has shown nothing but contempt since the war started, will not be afforded the opportunity for arguments. She will be placed and trialed as a Class A major offender. Motion granted. As with Scarlet and Luca, her case too remains open. Henceforward, anyone in the Class E status will have their cases remain open to bump up charges should evidence be presented. He will retain a status of Class C. We cannot overlook his close, likely carnal, relationship to the defendant Miss Alouette. Ike's disdain for what he did is noted and he falls well inside the criteria of Class C. I confess not knowing much about the male waves. I should very much like to hear the cases of each members considering one of their own was a victim of Nijisanji. Major offender status must be proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. I need to hear more evidence of that. Both of you are allowed to share custody of the defendant until charges are laid. This will be taken into consideration. Thank you. Your Honor, if it pleases the court, I would like to submit the following evidence as Exhibits DZ. Guards, remove this child. I don't even know how she got there. Honorable members of the court, I have an urgent announcement. Minana Ryugu has been discovered dead in her cell. She appears to have suffocated after experiencing an acute allergic reaction to the traces of these nuts found in her food. It appears that the prison staff has been infiltrated by the Zionist vigilantes, and further attacks are highly likely. I am afraid that special measures will have to be taken to ensure the safety of the other Nijisanji members involved in Zion Lanza's termination, and they will have to be tried strictly in absentia. We, the Zionist People's Front and our sisters association of the People's Front of Zion, are being framed. We don't claim this act of terrorism. This is a cover-up. Miss Ryugu knew vital information to incriminate Oberstgruppenführer Kotakatora Hime. If anyone would have gained anything from the sudden death of Miss Ryugu, it's Miss Torahime and Miss Torahime only. Traces of these nuts found in your food. DZ. These. Gasakebijo, refrain from assassinating the livers until they've been properly trialed. Your Honor, motion to classify Maria Marionette as Class D, as she was stationed at the Upside Down Front during the war, making her geographically and temporarily removed from Nijisanji's home front crimes. Your Honor, as the court moves to determine the guilt of Nijisanji's CEO, Riku Tazumi, I would like to motion to submit expert witness testimony from Cover Corp CEO Tomoaki Tanigo. It is the prosecution's belief that the defense will eventually attempt to present the defendant as being largely ignorant of Nijisanji's EN's division's SOP. We assert that once on record, the expert witness explanation of management methods in regard to how to appropriately support an overseas division will serve as relevant contrast to the defendant's conduct by example. We intend to present these rebuttals to any arguments that Nijisanji GP's geographic and cultural distances to the Nijian division mitigate any responsibility on the part of its CEO. Your Honor, I suspect equivalence case will escalate and be treated as Class B in the light of recent events. However, I motion he is placed in Class C on the basis that his previous track record as a non-offender is good. Moreover, he lost less followers than the others involved, which indicates shared sentiment and faith from the overall fan base. I second the motion for equivalent to be placed in Class C unless further evidences is presented to the court. Your Honor, everyone shall perish! I fucking warned you! What the fuck? Your Honor, Box just jumped on the cyanide pill. He is writhing on the floor. Please do not disturb the court with such trivialities again, or you will be held in contempt. Danganronpa. Your Honor, I claim that my client Millie is innocent and was set up by her gen mate. Silence! Remove this gentleman and sentence him to 2 hours of Silence! Remove this gentleman and sentence him to 2 hours of Maurice Sneaky. No, please anything by that. But what the fuck? I was in the middle of a meeting from home, I was literally flying down the barrel of the SLG in AC5. Okay, so I wasn't the only one who heard that then. What's the music playing, bros? Also, an interesting story. When I was visiting this thread, I literally started to hear this music theme as well. I don't know which fucking sorcery 4chan moderators use, but yeah, this shit was funny as hell. Your Honor, it seems there is a group that the other prosecutors have seemingly forgotten. I propose you should look into Noor and the India ilk. There are rumors that they ran everything behind the scenes, built the foundation for the war machine, and also enabled the Class A and Class B offenders to thrive in this environment. Objection, Your Honor. Citizen Noor has been known to have left company a year prior. In fact, one may argue her absence is what accelerated and amplified the war and the subsequent crimes committed. My fellow prosecutor, I too have heard the rumors, however, I have yet to discover any substantial evidence. I have seen Noor mentioned, however, I worry that if we present unconfirmed members of management to the judge, it may be dismissed due to lack of evidence tying the individuals to this case. I do request that there be further consideration for the addition of members of management who are not active EN talents to be scrutinized upon later trials. Thank you for your time, Your Honor. He's a manager now. All of Nijisanji India became the EN manager branch. Yes? Really? This is obviously a bad idea since there is a conflict of interest. India was sacked because they were seen as a direct concurrent to the future EN branch, and lack of professional experience. 19-years-old former talent with a diploma in mathematics isn't exactly who you would want as a manager. The employees have talked about it a few times. Also, it's still a part-time job for them. And India is Coordinated United Time +5. New York is Coordinated United Time -5. And California is Coordinated United Time -8. There is over 10 hours of difference between them. This makes communication extra hard. Your Honor, while the decision to back these proceedings with orchestral accompaniment is much appreciated, if unorthodox, I would petition the court to please give fair warning before enacting any further drastic changes so that the audience may avoid shitting their pants in surprise. Motion seconded. I thought my headphones broke. Damn, The voices are having a rave today. Should take my meds. One of the good ones. Kick. Your Honor, I put forth that the court should try Renzotto as a Class B offender. Early witness testimony that the defendant was one of the good ones appears to have been premature in light of recent discoveries. I submit the following exhibit as evidence. Your Honor, it has come to my attention that Hex made his allegiance clear in his X-encoded messages sent both and before the radio broadcast, made by two of the major offenders. He endorsed the war crimes being committed and was known previously for extreme behavior, such as showing a forbidden object on stream and stealing valor from the war hero known as Corpse Husband. Motion granted, defendant Hex Haywire will be classified as a Class B offender unless proven otherwise. Defendant Renzotto will likewise be charged as a Class B offender unless proven otherwise. Your Honor, I can prove that it wasn't my client, Renzotto, who retweeted the infamous video with a comment. The real culprit is in fact with us in the courtroom! Parbleu, who could that be? Mr. Kuri. Okay. Your Honor, I present Mocalypse-skinned testimonies as a past victim against Elira, Millie, and Anna, as evidence of their past history of crimes on this thread. Notable mention the lack of criticism against Pomo, formerly Mint, further supporting evidence of Miss Elira Pandora's hatred of Miss Selene Statsuki. Furthermore, she was willing to betray her own half-sister Selene in order to ensure that a more peaceful way to restore the dragon race could be found. I call Millie Parfait to the stand. Large computer monitors get wheeled in and set up in the chair. Millie starts up a private stream on her YouTube using her default model. Has a judge's gavel prop pinned over her head. Yes, Millie here, I am present. Someone make this please. That's it. Case dismissed. Bring out the dancing lobster.